I'm shocked, honestly. I mean, I felt like this was coming, but I felt like...
You played for him.
I played for McCarthy. I was with Aaron for a year, but I didn't expect it this early. You know, I thought if the season didn't quite finish, they didn't finish on an upswing, maybe some issues. But to Adam's point, you know, there have been so many conversations about, do they get along, don't they get along? I think sometimes we overemphasize that part of it. The bottom line, this is a results-driven business. You got to win to keep your job. They trust Aaron Rodgers. They believe he's their future. They give him that big contract, make him the highest paid player, all of those things. And when you get that, you know they're going to side with the player and not the coach. So ultimately, they're not winning games. You lose to Arizona, it's a bad loss. That's the one thing. It's a bad loss. When you lose to Arizona, coming to Green Bay, everything tells you that's all favors you, 13-point favors or whatever the number was. But in your home, you know you win. You continue to push for the playoffs. All of those things had to happen when you come out and lay an egg. And when Aaron said, I thought we were flat, I thought we were all of those things, that leads to say they weren't prepared to play when you walk out there and those kind of things happen. And so ultimately, you know, they make the decision to let him go. But honestly, this time of year, that's the part that's most shocking. Not that he got fired or not that he lost his job, but that they fire him at this point in the season. That's a bit abrupt. You know what I mean? And
only the Browns have replaced their head coach this season. Most teams kind of early.
Yeah, most people ride this thing out a little bit longer.
Do they make this move without running it by Aaron Rodgers?
No. I mean, listen, your franchise quarterback knows about everything before assistant coaches know. It's usually GM, head coach, quarterback, then everybody else kind of figures this thing out, maybe except in New England. But everywhere else, it probably goes that way. So I'm sure they let Aaron. I will say this, though. They wouldn't. They're not going to ask Aaron. Right. It's not going to be, hey, do you want him to go? This is
just to give you a heads up.
Absolutely. This is, hey, we're just going to give you a heads up. This is going to happen. But again, I don't, because I don't like when people do this, the overemphasis on the relationship between McCarthy and Rodgers. The bottom line is if they won games, I don't care if they can't stand. There's a lot of dudes in NFL locker rooms who don't like each other. There's a lot of coaches on staffs who may not get along. They're not going to be friends, but they can work together. And you go to work with people all the time that you may not be, you know, absolutely home, you know, just tight with. So don't overemphasize that part. The bottom line is they're not winning games they're supposed to win. That ultimately cost him his job, not the relationship between he and Aaron.
So with that being said, you know, a lot of fans out there watching this and saying, well, McCarthy and Rodgers didn't get along, so they're going to bring in a coach that Aaron Rodgers wants. How much input should Aaron Rodgers have, or is there a certain personality or play style that the next Green Bay coach needs to have?
Now, see, that's a great point because part of the issue for Green Bay is their offense is stagnant. You know, it's that old West Coast, those philosophies. So we talked about it. We were watching in the games today in the War Room, and we watch all the games together. They're the same routes from 10 years ago. You know, there's not a whole lot of that are being added to this offense. And when you have a guy who's as athletic and capable as Aaron Rodgers, you can bring in more of the Kansas City type flair, right? That Andy Reid, he's continuing to evolve. He's continued to evolve his offense, his production, what he's looking for. That is what, in my mind, the Matt Nagy's of the world, the Andy Reids of the world, right, the Frank Reichs of the world, who are going to bring in multiple formations, multiple ways to get different guys the ball, finding the matchups you're looking for as opposed to it just being the system and letting the guy play. We've seen way too many times where Aaron is in the pocket for way too long, just hoping something he can extend it and make a play down the field. They're going to look for somebody who can be creative with Aaron and the weapons that he has around him, and they're going to add to that. And they know they have to add to that. So let's not all put on there's players who aren't performing as well. That's the other part you always have to watch out is when a coach gets fired, players get fired too. Not Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of guys in that locker room who better not be excited because when the new guy comes in, he's bringing in his new players as well. So that's just kind of the way the NFL goes. But it was a great question because the reality is they want a more creative offense when you have a guy who can be as athletic and extend plays the way that Aaron Rodgers can, use what his strengths are. And so they're going to bring somebody like that in.